and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, hey, hello, my name is Meg and we do crafty things here. So if you like crafty things, please do consider subscribing. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing and tuning in to another video. So today we are going to be doing a Rexlace ending. So this is a tutorial that I put in the end of a couple of my Rexlace videos, but I've had a couple questions about it specifically, so I decided today we're gonna put it in its own video. And that's how I do my tasseled ends like this. Hopefully that is focusing all for you guys because I don't have a monitor, but essentially this is a way to end it off without melting it or gluing it or anything. It will just naturally stay like this. So this is an example here. That's got a hair on it. This is an example here, but you can do this on any Rexlace pattern. The tutorial I did with the pen, for example, that I also used this style of end on it as well. And most of the Rexlace tutorials I've done on here, I've ended with this method. So with that in mind, if you are interested in finding out how I end this, then keep on watching. Okay, welcome to the table. We are working with some natural light today because this is the first time we've had a really bright, clear, sunny day, and I really didn't want to like close the blinds and blast fake lights at myself. So we're going to do this with natural light. So if it shifts a bit, I apologize, but I like the sun, so I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, let's get on to what you're actually here for, which is how to do this ending that I showed you guys earlier on these examples here. So the technique is the same for any Rexlace pattern you do. So you can see here, I've actually got a different pattern than what's here to use as the example. So the premise is the same, regardless of what pattern. It may just be less strings to deal with than maybe necessarily like this one. So with that being said, I've gone ahead and I've gone right to my last stitch. I'm going to make my last stitch with you, and this is important. You're going to do your last stitch the exact same way that you do all of your other stitches. The only difference is that you're going to want to leave this last stitch a little bit looser than you normally would. So if you do big giant loops and it's really, really loose, bring it in a little so you can see your stitches a little bit better. But for example, this is a pretty good tautness to be starting your ending with. I wouldn't do a ton looser than this because you're just more apt to twist your strings around and it'll become a little more frustrating. So I've gone ahead. This is going to be my last stitch. This is going to be the stitch that we create our tassels from. So essentially what we're doing is we are wrapping each working string around its neighboring loop under the stitch and up through the middle. So it like basically knots around itself. So that may sound complex, but I promise you it's not actually that difficult. So let's go ahead and I'll show you here now. We'll start with this green one. And what loop do we want to wrap around? Well, we don't want to wrap around this purple one because this purple one is the loop that is actually locking the string in place. So if we start twisting around it, you can see right away, we start pulling things out of shape and we don't want that. So in this case, the only next loop we have is this green one, and that's exactly the one we want to go around. So we're going to go around the outside of the loop and we're going to go right under the stitch. So we're going to go in here underneath the purple that the loop we're going under is holding in and under that actual loop and just up through the middle of the stitch like so. So you can see there, this is the green string that we just put through there. It's wrapped around the outside of the stitch and comes up through the middle. Okay, so now we'll keep working our way around. So don't worry if that was a little confusing, we're gonna do it again. So now taking our purple string, we don't want to play with the loop that's locking it in. That's a no-no. You're gonna just twist things up and make a mess, deform things. We don't want that. We don't want to loop under the loop we created with this string because until we tighten this, this really isn't locked in place. So with our purple string, we're actually going to go around the neighboring purple string and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go around the outside of the pattern the outside of the stitch. And we're going to go in between the purple and blue strings here and up through the center. So it's going to go under the purple and green because the purple is the loop, the green is what it's locking in, and up through the center like that. Now I can see that I have actually twisted this when I did that. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip it. Now you can see that as I'm going through and I'm putting the strings up through the center, I'm holding them in this hand so that they're separate, because at this point, as I'm sure you guys can see, it's a little bit difficult to see what's going on and what strings belong where because we're in this loose state. So I find it easier, and I would recommend trying to keep them separate so you know what you've already done and what you haven't done yet. So let's move on to our blue one. And again, we're not going to go around this green string because it's not a loop really, and it's holding the blue string in place. So we're going to go around this blue here, and we're going to go in between the blue and the green, right underneath. So we've got the blue loop that we're going under and the string that it's locking in, and we're going right up into the center of that stitch. All right, now we've got to our green one. Again, we don't want to work around the loops that we're creating with the strings we're working with. So this is out of the question, and this is out of the question because it's locking this string in place. So we want to go around the green string here. So we're going to go around the outside and under this green loop and the string it's holding in place up through the center. And hopefully I'm doing this all on screen because I've already undone it once because I realized that I was drifting out of frame, which is easier to do with a craft that isn't taped to the table. All right, now we move on to our light blue. And again, it's the same thing, not under the loops that we're making, not under the loop locking it in, but it's neighbor. So here we are. The neighbor is going to be the blue for me here, and I'm going to go underneath and up through the center. And now we've only got one string left. And see what I mean? Like, it's looking like chaos. So you're better off to hold those strings in your other hand so that you know what you've already done and you don't start redoing ones you've already completed. It'll become an even more twisted mess. So we're going to take this purple and we're going to work it around this other purple up underneath into the center, like so. Now you've actually completed it. This is how you end it. Now we're just going to pull it tight. Okay, you might want to slowly start to kind of make sure things are moving evenly. And then I like to hold it here and then pull tight. And that I just find is less likely to deform things, because I feel like you get a more even tension across all of your strings. But as usual, I kind of give everything a little tug afterwards. Make sure everything's nice and tight. You play with it how you normally play with it and you'll get it. And that's it. That is how you finish it off. Now, as usual, I would generally recommend you let this sit for at least a couple hours before you trim anything, because Rexlace kind of takes on the shape of whatever way it's been sitting. You may have noticed that before if you've ever just kind of bundled up a handful and thrown it in a drawer or something, that you come back and it's kind of holding the twist and the shape of whatever contortioned heap you had it in. So just that same concept in mind, leave it like this for a little while before you trim it, and then you shouldn't have any fallout like on these ones. These ones I did almost a year ago and nothing has came undone. So there you have it, guys. That is how you finish off any Rexlace pattern. And so if you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. If you have any other video suggestions, leave them down below, or any questions, of course. And until next time, guys, bye.